All right, guys, welcome. I'm live and ready to take your questions, tackle those tough topics of dog training, and just have some fun on a Sunday. By the way, I made this a little bit later to accommodate those of you who go to church, those of you who are good people and my kind of people. If you're going to church, Alan said to me, Alan says a lot to me. Alan said that some people complained because some of the times we're interfering with church, especially people on the East Coast? I guess. Anyway, people on the West Coast, not that they don't go to church, but I guess it's later. So anyway, now it's 12 o'clock. If you're on the West Coast, you should be back from church. And if you're on the East Coast, you should certainly be back from church. And I hope if you did go, that you had a great time. Hello to all of you guys. I'm going to start taking your questions. I'm going to rip through here kind of quick. Remember, if you want to ask a question, double, triple question marks at the beginning of your sentence is definitely going to help you get your question to me. That's always the secret. That's always the way to do it. Just want to make sure the colors and everything look good on this, because we've had some complaints here of faulty technology. It's a bane of my existence, is trying to get something, trying to get all the technology to work. The audio technology, the video technology, the website technology and everything. Thank God I've got Alan. He is here and he's got my back. He's got your back too. So let's take a couple of questions and we'll get into some chats. Tanya, you have the first question here. RR, excited, I don't know what RR is, usually Rolls Royce. Excited during normal play and nips, tried corrected by saying no, turning back to him, walking away, results in RR jumping on me and upholding collar to get him to sit, and he tries back. So a 1.5-year-old RR, Rhodesian Ridgeback? Ridgebacks, and I'll tell you, I had one Ridgeback years and years and years ago that I met that was just like that. The harder you'd come at him, the harder he'd come. And it's a very, very dominant bred dog. You have to remember, I always say this, you got the dog you got. Think about the dog you have. Ridgebacks are a very strong breed. They're going to fight. They're going to challenge you a lot of the steps of the way that you're going to work with them. You're not doing the right thing by turning your back on the dog. So what you're doing, you're turning your back on him, then you're turning around and trying something different. In other words, what you're trying to do is you're trying to find what's going to work and then going with that. And the problem is, with Janet and I were talking about this yesterday on our walk. She said, people must get so confused because you go to one trainer and that person says, hey, give this dog all the freedom in the world until he's a year old. And the other person is saying, give the dog all the structure you can all the way through. So I said to her, I said, that's a very astute point, and it is. However, it's going to really depend if you're willing to see the training all the way through with that one way. In other words, if you say, I'm not going to give the dog corrections for the first year, I'm going to let him go strong and tough and be real, ballsy and full of himself, it's going to build a more confident dog. Janet gave very little corrections to Dwayne. Now, Dwayne is a very, very nice temperamented dog. I would not probably do that with a higher drive working line dog, but it worked well for her because he's just a super uber confident, strong dog. Now, if I give him a correction or I tell him what to do, he's going to listen. He's not going to challenge it, but it's because I bring a lot of energy, a lot of presence to the table. You, Tanya, need to find a methodology and you need to stick with it. So if you're going to, and I would not go the route of being way over dominant or way over permissive. I would come in the middle. I would correct the dog for bad behavior. I would structure the dog's life so he doesn't get away with this stuff. But it's really about that structure, in little things, not in the big things when he gets excited, but in little things. Can you control those drives in your day-to-day? You're getting a leash. You're getting ready to go out. Is the dog bouncing all over you? You're putting the food on. Is the dog busting in to get the food? Those little things you need to kind of address as well as the big things. But addressing them in the little things first is going to make your life easier. But at a 1.5 years old, this is where it's really coming to fruition. The dog is really coming into his drives. He's really coming into his personality, his strengths, his confidence. And you're just going to need to kind of finesse it here, right? You're going to need to have corrections, but you're not going to really take down a 1.5-year-old Rhodesian Ridgeback unless you're uber powerful. And I wouldn't probably recommend doing it. Just be fair. Structure the little things, the big things will follow. All right, I'm going to answer this question here for Ron, although you don't have a question mark in front of your questions, which you should have. What is the best way to train a 3-year, 80-pound male Malinois Arousal 9 to 10 achieved in 2 seconds to break, stop, leave it. Okay, this is the same thing. You've got to address it in the little things. You can't get a Malinois that at 3 years old, 80 pounds, a powerful dog, and just expect that you're going to stop the dog, unless you're going to use an immense amount of pressure on this dog, which is not favorable to the relationship between you and the dog. In other words, the dog is doing something. If you come down on the dog super, super hard, you might stop the behavior, but you're also going to damage the relationship between you and the dog. You need to bring the drives up and cap the drives. So you need to control the dog's drives. You bring the dogs up, level up to a certain level, then you cap it, and you bring the dog back down. Because if you're getting the dog into, and obviously you probably, it's your dog, if you had him for 3 years, you should know, but if you're taking the dog from 0 to 100 and expecting to bring him back to 0, you're doing the wrong thing by your dog. You're just not being fair to your dog, and that's something that I would really, really consider. So channel those drives. Kyle, you guys got to put question marks in front. I'm going to pass all the ones with no question marks after this one. My 5-month-old Malinois urinates when he gets excited or scared. Any way to fix that, or does it correct itself? It doesn't correct itself. I'm going to tell you right now, the best thing you can do for this dog is to control his stimulations, right? People meeting him, getting him really into high drive. You need to bring him into lower levels of drive and reward those lower levels of drive. Bring the drives up a little bit more. It's called piddling. I wrote an article about it years ago. I don't know if it's still on the internet, but I always said piddling is not peeing, because there's a difference between the dog intentionally peeing someplace and the dog getting excited and a leaking bladder. Now, you might, with a 5-month-old Malinois, just keep his drives a little bit lower. Make sure he doesn't have a urinary tract infection, which probably doesn't. If he's just peeing everywhere, peeing, then you can take him to a vet and have him checked out. But more than likely, he's getting excited, he's leaking urine, and just don't let people come in and go, oh, puppy, yay. Try to get the dog to understand that he can control those drives, because the more excited he gets when he's young, the more he will do this, and then the weaker his control will become. So be really, really, really careful. I'm skipping everybody unless you have a question mark that looks like that from Nick, who says, Robert, how can I get my dog to feel more relaxed in the car? When in the car, he pants very fast and shakes. How can I make more comfortable? He's 5, mixed breed of Chi-Chi and Coonhound. Well, I always say, to make things easier for your dog, you've got to start with slow introduction. So in other words, if I had a dog that had issues with panting, and a lot of dogs pant, that doesn't necessarily mean they're stressed, but there are other indications. And I'm assuming that you're very well aware of what those indications are and what's going on. So what I would do is I would start getting the dog in the car many, many, many times without ever starting the car, without ever driving the car. Feed the dog in the car. Have the dog waiting in the car for 5 minutes before you take him for a walk. Put him in the car. Go get your shoes on, take him out of the car, obviously if it's not too hot where you live, and all these things. Feed him in there, give him some treats in there, put him in for 2 minutes, take him out, put him in for 10 minutes, take him out. Be real fair with the dog, because you want that exposure to be very benign to the dog. What you want to also do once you get him used to being in the car is get the car, start the car, turn the car off, start the car, drive it around the block, put it back in the garage or in the driveway, and then start creating time and distance to that. Don't overdo it too fast. Atom says, Humane Society of Lake County, Florida, checking in once again. Okay, you sent me a nice message on the treadmill, the slap mill. And by the way, I think you should get one. Let's see. I am having an awesome Sunday. Thank you. Just signed up for a 1-year membership. Looking forward to learning all I can. Well, thank you for signing up for that. Also, by the end of this year, I will have the entire Bound Angels University program online as well. That's going to be something that no one has ever seen, and you're going to love it. Good. Ronan, that's a great thing. Step up the training, keep it going. We're going to have a lot of people in here today, okay? Just so you know, if you're not already a member of my website at robertcabral.com, head over there, join there, because even if you join right now, you'll get member access to the next hour of my chat, which is going to be in the members only area. So if you don't get your question answered here, you probably definitely will get it answered in the members area. I have not messed a question up there yet. So Rude, I've been teaching my dog the back command and he responds well only if I walk into him. As soon as I stop, he stops too. How do I get him to continue? So, excellent question. The back command is something that can be harder for the dog. Like even Goofy at 11, almost 12 years old, when I taught it to him, I would teach him and I would use a hand signal. I'd say back, 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 back. And he'll keep doing it as long as I keep saying it. Now he'll go back a little bit, but he doesn't have it down, even Goofy. Or if I say backward, he'll just keep walking backwards till I stop him. I never really trained it. I never really put that much effort into it. I just thought it was fine the way it was. But what you'll need to do, you just need to keep repeating it, repeating it, repeating it. And, eventually the dog will get it. Like you can say back. If he doesn't keep going back, go, no, 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 hey, 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 back, back, back. And put pressure on. And then when he's doing it, while he's doing it, release him. Release him while he's doing it will teach him to keep doing it until you release him. If he stops and you correct him, it's very different. Donald, good to see you. Nellie says, any tips for car anxiety in 14-week-old German Shepherd? Drools like crazy, vomits, and just tries to avoid getting in. No specific bad experience. Refuses treats near in the car. I would use the same logic that I just said to the person before, and I would just put him in the car for a couple minutes, pet him, take him out, put him in the car. I would feed the dog in the car, especially a young puppy, right? I would just, feeding time would be in the car. And if you have a SUV, it's even easier. Open the back, put a bowl in, put the dog in, sit with him, right? Make sure the dog is good and hungry, but make that experience positive. The dog is going to need to go into the car, so please put the effort forth. Nick says, picking up my 8-week-old German Shepherd this week. When to start training and what to train? I assume no corrections for a while. Thanks, Rep. Yeah, absolutely. Start training day one. Hand feed the dog. Get the dog to follow you. Start luring and shaping little things down, stands, spins, all that stuff. You're going to have the greatest time. To follow, if you haven't joined the member section, follow the members beginner course. There's a little series of things to do starting day one. And if you don't have a membership, there's tons of free lessons on YouTube as well. And be sure, if you're here and you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so that you get notified. It helps me too, trying to get more followers. The more followers I have, the better my statistics are, the better, it's just better. Just please, if you want to do me a favor, you don't have to do a super chat, you don't have to do super stickers or anything like that, but you should just hit subscribe, hit the bell, and tell all your friends to subscribe to this channel. Okay, Molly. Quickest way to help an anxious Belgian Malinois start to socialize better and decrease people and dog aggression. Exposure, right? Positive exposure, and very short exposure at that. Don't overdo the exposure. Don't take the dog out for long durations of time. Like meet one person, 2 people, boom, party time, have fun, let's go, we're out of here. That's always the best. Positive, ending everything on a positive note, especially meeting people. Remember, your dog doesn't have to talk to people, be pet by people, be approached by people. It has to be in the presence of people, especially early on. That's the real easy way for the dog to understand that. If you start trying to get the dog to meet people, it's too much pressure for the dog. Keep the load very, very light. Gerd, schöne Gruß aus Deutschland. Okay, for an 8-month-old lab, you can that's still easy to do. Terry, my 2-year-old German Shepherd has started to resource guard me from my husband and daughter. It has become very serious. One puncture wound on my daughter. How can we break this? Well, you've got to break this quick, Terry. First of all, if a dog is resource guarding you, it sees you as the resource, and you are not the resource. You are the giver of the resource. You've got to change your entire mindset. You need to get in touch with, I always say this, you got to get in touch with your inner, so that you can be, you need to be strong to this dog. You would need to put this dog in a down command, and you need to have your daughter and your husband walking around freely. Your dog must accept everything in the house that you ask him to accept. Must. By hook or crook, because if not, you're going to be getting rid of this dog, and it's going to be sad. Because if you get rid of this dog for this reason, it's going to end up being put down. So listen to what I'm saying to you. I'm being very, very serious. Step up your game. Step up your training. Step up your corrections. Be firm with this dog, because the dog will love you for it. I'm not saying be abusive. I'm not saying hit, scold, yell at, or anything with this dog, but be firm. When the dog doesn't listen, you make the dog listen. You make the dog do what you want him or her to do. You tell the dog to go to a place. If he doesn't, you grab him by the line. You say, no, go to your place. Now, I can tell you, I've seen everybody be able to do this, from a little old lady to a guy my size and bigger, if there are any people actually bigger and more powerful than me. You need to get in touch with your inner AH and be strong with this dog. This dog needs structure and leadership right now. Biting your daughter is not acceptable. It's not acceptable at all, and it's not cute. And you probably thought it was cute when it was a little puppy. It's not cute. Get on this dog starting now. The dog has no freedom, nothing, until the dog acquiesces to your wishes and your commands. And you need to be strong on that as well. Okay. That's a very important one, so I'm glad I saw that. Yossi, good to see you in the room. Finally, I see you in there. You always tell me afterwards, I saw you in there, and then I never see you in there. Okay, Audra. 4-month-old Mastiff puppy has been around other dogs, but I've been unable to find other dogs to play with. Until now, he has been fine with dogs, but recently she's super scared and tries to run. Well, first of all, your dog doesn't need, I went through this. I did a session with 2 Malinois the other day. And people's opinion is always the dog needs to play with other dogs. Not necessarily, right? The dog is your dog. The dog needs to have good manners in the presence of other dogs. That is critical, absolutely critical. Once you have that, you have the stepping stone for everything else. Like Goofy played with, I would say 3 or 4 dogs when he was small. One was my Shar-Pei. Then there was a couple other dogs, my friend Drew's Lucky Dog. There was, I think, my friend's Doberman, but it was very limited exposure. So if you don't have a safe dog for your dog to play with, they don't play with dogs. You're not getting a dog to take it to the dog park, right? You're getting a dog to be your dog, and your dog should be your dog. Please, people, don't get a dog for the sole purpose of going to a dog park. It makes no sense to me. Train the dog, live with the dog. The dog should have an amazing, beautiful life with you. Do fun things, walk your dog, hike with your dog, do agility or obedience with your dog, do dock diving with your dog, do something with the dog. There's so much to do now with dogs. Don't make this mistake, but great question. Okay, Maligator Mom's got a question. What are your thoughts on Malinois service dogs? I get this question a lot. Typically steer them away from, well, yeah. Malinois, although they can be a good service dog, I don't think they're a good candidate for it. I had a guy who had PTSD and had a high drive Malinois. I don't think anything can give me more PTSD than a Malinois who's out of control, right? It's a high drive, intense dog. Even when German Shepherds are bred as working dogs, they are bred for that purpose in a specific line. They're not working line German Shepherds. Working line Malinois or Dutch Shepherds are even higher. And a lot of times when I see people with this, it's definitely a fake service dog. I mean, I already know that. The amount of Malinois that could actually be a real service dog, that could be calm, that could stay focused, that wouldn't lose their brains when a tennis ball rolls by, is 1 in 100,000, 1 in 10,000. So it's not. It's one of the worst breeds that I would possibly consider as a service dog. So yeah, you're right on that one. Floyda. I think it's Floyd. Can't see it. Floyd. Sorry, Floyd. I can't read it because it's in lowercase and I don't see these. Those are my glasses. They're over there because I don't wear them. I feel geeky wearing glasses. I am at novice level with my miniature poodle in Australia in off-lead heeling. He seems to wander out from my side, especially on turns. Also, he seems to get distracted whilst heeling. He's 2 years old. So, okay, so first of all, a mini poodle is a great dog, right? It's a very intelligent dog. I would have one. I would train one. It's a good dog. What you need to do with this dog is you need to, since he's a mini poodle, you need to get yourself either a chopstick or you need to get yourself a wooden spoon and put some peanut butter on it and have it. And when he starts to get focused out, like not paying attention, put it down by his nose and go, hey, pay attention, and speed up your walk. And always be ready to bring that spoon or that chopstick with a hot dog on the end of it down to him. But he must pay attention. Now, I would probably still now have a real thin line on him. Get yourself like a piece of parachute cord or something. Hook it to his collar. And when he doesn't pay attention, tap, 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 hey, hey, hey. And when he pays attention to you, Reward that while he's paying attention, not when he looks down and up. Try to keep the focus and do it in this fashion. Do a lot of turns, right? And do a right turn and 2 steps, release. A right turn and 3 steps, a release. A right turn and 4 steps and release. Build on little steps and it'll help you a long way. But really, really, really good, nice dog. So good question there. Okay, who's this? MOM. Thanks for your sessions. Greatly appreciated. My 1-year-old dog wants to chase everything during our walks. Birds, cars, mainly. How to address the chase drive? Well, correct it, right? You're going to need to correct it. A couple of ways to correct it. One is when the dog goes to chase something or you see him about to chase it, have a tug toy or a ball in your pocket, a ball on a string that is, and pull it out and go, hey, and get the dog to pay attention to you, right? You need to get the dog to see you as more valuable than the distraction. If you can do that, excellent. And if you can't, then you need to figure out another game. But you need to control that drive, right? That you need to get that back to you. If not, you're going to have to be very, consequential and correct the dog for doing that. Try to lure him out of it with something more fun. So the dog sees the car and he goes, like if Goofy sees something he wants to chase, he'll kind of look back at me quick because he knows I've got a trick up my sleeve. Either I've got something I'm going to do or I've got something where I'm going to get him or he's going to get in trouble, right? So that's kind of what you want to think about. Jesse. Also good to see you and hear your advice. Robert from Illinois. Good to see you and good to give you advice and share my advice with you. Jack, what are the most important supplies that I need before bringing my puppy home? I have a crate, playpens, some potty pads. Well, you don't need the potty pads. Get rid of those. Toys, just want to make sure. Well, you need a leash. You need a collar. You need some treats. X-Pen is going to be good. The crate is going to be good. But basically, you need the mental fortitude to start training and housebreak this dog. Keep him in a confined area. Get him out to walk. Do all that. It seems like you're on the right path. Okay, just answered that one. Eric. Just got a Belgian Malinois that's 3 months today. I'm struggling with walking him on a leash. He just sits there and then tries to pull when I finally get him to walk. Any tips? Consistency. At 3 months, don't pull your hair out. You're not going to have any hair left by the time he's 12 months, and he's going to be annoying at 12 months. You've got a dog that's a lot of work. So just give it the effort. Give yourself the mental stability that you're going to see through this. I'll tell you, watching other people always gives me hope. I'm going to tell you, like with Janet, for example, she taught Dwayne this trick that when I first saw her do it, I'm going to let her describe it. She's not here now, but she'll be here in a minute, but she's not going to talk about it. But anyway, I'm digressing. When I watched her do it, I said, that's never going to work. I just really, 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 really thought it's never going to work. Now, with patience and perseverance, she pushed through, and Dwayne can do this trick. And I am mesmerized, right? It takes a lot to impress me. This really impressed me. And I'm gonna ask her to do a video of it because it impressed me that much. And I wish to God I would have videotaped it in the beginning, but I never thought it was gonna work. And it did work because she was patient and persevered. So Eric, just be patient. Sometimes for guys, it's hard to be patient. Moms are much more patient. Women, I should say in general. And by the way, it's not a sexist statement. Let's see. Jack says, do you have a specific insurance company plan you recommend for a Rottweiler puppy? I actually do. And if you click the link down below in this video, you're going to see it. And if you support this channel and you use that link, it helps support the channel. Okay. Tyrese, you need to put a question mark in front, but you got a question. I just saw it. What age can you start guard work with your dog? Well, you can start the basic foundations of it early on, but it depends on the drives and temperaments of the dog. I would highly, highly, highly suggest you get to a good club, whether it's IPO, IGP, whatever they call it now, Mondio, French Ring, a PSA, anything. Just get to a good club that will help you and have a good helper there to move you along. Josie says, good or bad, instead of finishing an agility course with treats, engaging a play with tug, for example? Doesn't matter. It depends on what your dog really likes. Janet uses treats. I've seen people use tugs. Doesn't matter. It matters not. It matters only what your dog likes. Okay, Ariel. Want to take my Mal to tray ball agility. If balls, dogs are moving, he chases. How can I work on this at home? Facility will not let me correct with prong there. I trained at home with prong. Well, I get it. A lot of the facilities don't let you do it, like AKC, even IGP doesn't let you use a prong collar to correct the dog, during a trial or anything like that. And I get it, because there's too many animal nutcases that are going to say it's abusive. So it deters from the whole sport. But get the dog in a park. Have a friend of yours throwing some balls and build some obedience with the dog. Then let the dog chase the ball. It's not hard to do, but it's going to take some perseverance. But good on you that you're trying to do this. L. Lou. Want to do search and rescue work with my working line German Shepherd. Is it enough work for them as well as obedience, or do they need something like IPO? Yeah, I mean, search and rescue is fantastic work because they do a lot of drills and stuff like that. Watch my podcast with the Search Dog Foundation. I think it's really, really, really great. Again, if you don't have a question mark in front of your question, I'm not probably going to get to it because you can't see what I see, but down this side of the screen right here, I have hundreds of questions going by. So I'm trying to get to them as I can. I'm going to apologize ahead of time if I don't get to them, right? I'm sorry, but I'm doing the best I can. Again, if you join the member section, more than likely you'll probably get your question answered. Here, it's a crapshoot. It's free. That's all I can say. Giorgio says, currently have an 8-month-old German Shepherd, female, planning on getting a Belgian Malinois male in the future. What is the best age difference? So that's an excellent question. If you want to do the right thing for you, you'll try to get 4 or 5 years in between, because this way, as the dog gets older, you'll always have 2 dogs, and one dog will sadly always pass off and one will always be young. Let at least 2 years go by, right? So that the dog has a solid core, a solid foundation, a solid relationship with you. 3 years is better. 5 years is the best. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking with that. Kaylander, what are the best things I can do to set up my 5-month-old German Shepherd for success? Join robertcabral.com. As a shameless plug for you. Honestly, I would say that. Yeah, I would say join my site because it will give you new lessons constantly. There's 130 lessons. You need to have this dog engage. You need to get the dog socialized. You need to know how to correct the dog. You need to know how to train the dog, what to do with the dog. And that you can learn it here on YouTube, of course, but it definitely takes, if you make a commitment to it, if you join a club, join an obedience club, work with a private trainer, do any of those things. But, for a really quick solution, a lot of people find the member section to kind of get, to get you rolling on that. Myra. Samoya just turned 4 years old, newly blind for 1 month. How do I train to keep her confidence high and trust for me high? Play a lot of games with her, right? A lot of games, a lot of physical contact, a lot of confidence building things like telling the dog to do something and rewarding, like telling the dog maybe to stay somewhere where the dog, obviously it's going to be hard for the dog can't see. Use verbal reassurances. Success, success, success. The more success the dog has, the better the confidence for the dog. Naoko. I'm saying that right? Okada. My 1.5-year-old intact male husky growls at other intact males. He is great with fixed males and females. Should I expose to other males and correct him or avoid, give enough space and walk by? Well, if you can't train it, avoid it, right? If you can't really sit down and really work through the behavior, which, I would try to have someone there who can give a physical correction so the dog knows not to do it. Gradual exposure, right? Bringing the dog in slowly. The reason I say that is because you don't want to fight with two, big dogs, like 2 big huskies. It's gonna be a lot. But if you can work it out where there is a dog that you can expose them to, great. If not, avoid. Nico, 5-month-old border collie lab, very energetic. I play with him several times a day. Is too much playtime a bad thing? It can be, yeah. I'll tell you why. Is because if there's too much playtime, eventually it's going to get to the point where you can't keep up. And then the dog is going to feel destructive because it's not enough going on. The dog needs to have a good amount of downtime, alone time, so the dog can kind of chill out, relax, have fun, and just be a dog. That's really important. So too much of a good thing is not a good thing. Ask me. That's how I feel about chocolate. James. 4-month-old shelter pup still struggling with being left alone in the crate. She's okay at bedtime for 6 hours, but when I leave the house with my partner staying at home, she cries at the door. A suggestion I gave to somebody not too long ago is try feeding the dog when you leave, right? Try feeding the dog only when you leave. And you can do it like put it in a Kong, freeze it, wet it a little bit, put it inside, and it'll take the dog more time to work through it. Something good happens when you're gone. That's kind of where I would go. Because if the dog is starting to get destructive and starts chewing at the door or chewing at the baseboards or the wall, furniture, anything like that, it's going to really upset you. But that's a good rule of thumb. First of all, 4-month-old, probably crate the dog when you're gone. But get the dog to understand that when you leave, something great happens. Leave on a TV with a talk radio station or news channel, even though I hate the news. Leave on talk radio. Leave on some soft music. But have something for the dog to do. Like food in a Kong is a good thing unless the dog is a crazy chewer. Oh, look, Janet's here. Hi, honey. Are you coming home? Are you on your way home? And I want to know how everything went because Janet was at an agility competition. By the way, the Dwayne-O-Meter got a first place yesterday. Amazing work Janet's doing with Dwayne-O-Meter. Okay, Sharon. How do you stop a puppy from panic eating or inhaling his food? You're going to want to control the food. One, freezing the food in a Kong is another good way, and a slow feed bowl is another good idea. All right, Larry. Can you talk a little about hunting dogs being great family dogs and not having to make them live in a crate when not hunting? I get chastised for spoiling my dog. Well, excellent on you, Larry, right? I don't really like any sport where the dog is a tool. Hunting, IPO, anything. A lot of these people just keep their dogs in kennels or crates when they're not working. When they're working, they're out. I hate it. I think it's terrible because I think now with all the great breeding that has been done, I get it. Years ago, if it was a protection dog, you bring it out, it would bite, you put it back in a crate. All the great breeding that's been done and the advances that they've become in behavior, yeah, the dog should definitely be a house pet. I mean, all of our dogs are house dogs. They sleep with us on the bed, on the floor, in the bedroom. Dwayne, sometimes for a few hours at night, Janet puts him in the crate because he wants to bounce up on the bed, which, at 4 o'clock every morning, we let Dwayne jump on the bed and he cuddles with us. I think dogs should be on the bed, yes. Canadian Fitness says, I love your show. My 4-month-old Mal gets overexcited when I come home, even if gone for 2 minutes, gets nippy, jumps. Advice would be appreciated. Well, that's a Mal, right? That's just the way they are. So the best advice I can give to you, now, I don't know, hopefully you're crating the dog, but don't make seeing you an event, right? So when you come in the door, if the dog's in a crate, open the crate, put a leash on, take him outside, and go potty, good potty, blah, blah, blah. Try to really just curtail your excitement because the more excited you are, the dog will always mimic your energy level. So if you have a very high energy level, the dog will bring it up to that. That's why dogs are so easy to train because they tend to mimic our energy. So what I would do is when I came home, I would get the dog out of the crate, say, come on, let's go outside. And nothing else. Oh, yeah, good to see you. I wouldn't do any of that stuff. I wouldn't do it. And I bet you anything would help. Okay, Bree. I'm in your online course. I have a toy pup, 4 pounds, 5 months. She does a great job of learning commands and is doing really well. Do you recommend she still go to in-person training? That's up to you, right? Some people love doing, it depends, I guess, to what level you want to take it to. There's a lot of people who will do my online course and have an online trainer. And other people will, do the online course and not. I mean, it depends. It really depends on you. If you find a good trainer to work with and do both, I mean, it's fantastic. But the online course for basic stuff, I think is really, really good. Okay, here, Janet's weighing in. I'm going to put it on there because that's what you do when you love your wife and you have a great wife like I have. She has good information always. Hunting dog is very lovable and well-behaved family dog. He does not live in, yeah, no, our dogs do not live in crates. We do not do that. Thank you for putting that up there, honey. Appreciate it. Anthony, I have a 12-week-old Mal and a 5-year-old poodle, and they both pull like crazy when I try to walk them underneath, and I'm not sure how to get them to chill out. Well, walk them one at a time. That's what I would really suggest you do, and especially the puppy's going to instigate the poodle, but teach them to walk individually, and it's better for you because you get twice the exercise. I know that sounds funny, but it's true. Fam, Belgium. Nice to see you from Belgium. We have a 17-week-old Malinois from Belgium, which is where they came from, that reacts to anything that moves, joggers, chairs, cars, wheelchairs, I said chairs, etc. Is there anything we can do to change this behavior? All the best. Exposure, right? Just constantly exposing the dog to it, having some lures to call the dog back to you, having some toys to get the dog back, excitement level back to you. But please expose the dog. And it's 17 weeks old. It's so early. Please just keep exposing the dog. And thank you there, Great Dogs, telling everybody to hit the like button to like this video. You got to exit out, hit the like button, and come back in, because we've got, what do we got? 210 people in here. That's a lot of people and a lot of questions for a guy like me without the help of a woman like Janet. Tim Menemt. Do you need to teach a 6-month-old puppy how to correct other dogs? No. I can see him being annoyed by other dogs humping him, but he doesn't know how to growl. No, you need to correct the other dogs, right? You are your dog's advocate. And this is something I was saying the other day when I was working with these 2 Malinois, which is a video that's going to be coming up real soon. You need to be your dog's advocate. You control the situation. You control the other dogs. If Goofy's around, Goofy will correct a dog, but he knows I'm on it, right? He knows that I am completely in control. The more you're in control with your dog, the better your dog is going to do with you. You start letting your dog control things, you're setting your dog up for failures. Mitchell, my question for this week, 3 PSA clubs local are full, doing my own foundations and bite work. How many times a week should we do it? Only doing up to 8 minutes total, of course, all prey drive. Well, I mean, that's good. And again, this question really depends on your dog. Some dogs, it's good to do bite work with, right? If they're a little weaker, a little shyer, then you can do a lot of your own bite work with the dog. But if the dog is a little dominant, it's probably not a good idea to do the bite work with your dog. It's going to depend on the dog's drive, the dog's confidence, the dog's structure, like how dominant is the dog, how weak is the dog. And it's going to depend on your knowledge of doing it. That's amazing if 3 PSA clubs are full, but good on you. Good on you. I got Oscar Mora coming on a podcast. I think this week or next week. We already did it. I just have to edit. I'm hoping I can get it edited. Talented Paws. That's a lot of question marks, and that's why I saw it. I got a lab 3 years. I got a lab 3-year. He was attacked by 2 dogs before, and he now raises his fur when he interacts without another dog. Is the right thing to do to walk him with trained dogs often? Okay, I don't understand the question, the first part of the question, but the second part of the question is yes. Expose him to trained dogs, to really solid dogs. You know, the Boz man was attacked also, you know, one time when Janet had him early on, and it was very nerve-wracking for her, which of course it would be, to bring him out again. I had a Shar-Pei that I'll tell you the story another time that got attacked, and I immediately got him right back out. I mean, when the other dog who attacked him saw me, the dog would just run because the dog got firm corrections. You need to be able to protect your dog, yeah, and you need to get the dog exposed. So, for sure. Okay. Gaston. We live in New York City and spend a lot of time in public transit. Our 5-month-old German Shepherd girl gets motion sickness also in cars. Any pre-travel suggestions for controlling motion sickness? Not really. I mean, I would probably limit food, you know, because that's going to really make it worse, because what she's going to puke. But slow exposure. It's tough. I mean, maybe you take her on a subway, one stop, take her off, you know, walk her around a little bit, bring her back on. Make it like you're going to have to make an exercise, but that's a tough one in the city to do that. Lily, can a mother and her offspring live happily together without getting too attached to each other like puppy syndrome? Can a mother and her puppy live happily together without getting... well, they get attached. They get attached no matter what, because it's less so, but I've seen mothers and daughters, go at it, like attack each other. So it's going to be up to you really to structure that and to give them good time apart and good time together and stuff like that. That's for sure. Again, I'm looking only for question marks. Chad, Old English Sheepdog, 15 months old, intact. That might be spelled wrong, but I'm going to let it go. Intact. Shows dominance, aggression toward 10-year-old boy. That's not good. 4, in-house, husband, wife, and boys 13 and 10. Good with everyone else, but not this one kid. Well, that's a problem, right? I mean, because you're not going to get rid of the kid, and you don't want to get rid of the dog. So I would figure out, I'm not psychic, so I can't tell you what the problem is, but I would get to the bottom of it. I would do a lot of obedience training with the child there, right? I would show that I love this child. This child is my friend. I accept the child, and anything this dog does that shows any dominance towards that child would be corrected. I mean that. I really, because you're going to be getting rid of the dog. That's it. You got to be firm on the dog. I'm looking through the question. Okay, here. Shash, what? By the way, if I mispronounce your name, it's probably because it's really a cool name, like Robert, John, Bill, Tom. I don't mispronounce those. But Shashwat is a super cool name. Robert, I have a German Shepherd, 8 months old. For some reason, whenever I play fetch or tug with him, he plays for 5 to 6 minutes and then he runs away. I tried adding treats, but nothing. Well, adding treats is not going to make it work, right? And German Shepherds can be kind of lazy, right? So I would suggest you do, if at 5 to 6 minutes he starts to run away, at 4 minutes, stop the game, or at 3 minutes, stop the game. And instead of playing 3 times for 5 to 8 minutes, play 4 times for 3 to 4 minutes, right? And just build onto that duration. Don't force the dog. Once the dog is tired, you can't force the dog to do more. And that's, I think, the biggest problem I see with dog trainers is they think that, okay, I'm going to add a little tiny bit onto it. Well, that's good but you always want to build on success, right? So if I get the dog to do a focus heel for 5 steps, I'm not going to add 3 more steps onto it, because then it's going to make the dog fail. So if the dog is willing to play for 5 to 6 minutes, then play for 3 to 4 and end it. Make the dog want more, right? You always have to leave the dog wanting more. Kevin, this question comes up all the time. I don't like the bonker. I'm not against corrections, but I'm not a big bonker fan. There's the other things I do, but bonkers are not that many. Tayana says, 4-year-old recently adopted Cane Corso in the process of training to be comfortable with guests at my home. I've trained her to be non-reactive outside of the house, but struggle with it inside. Well, if you've trained it outside, you're on the right path, because it's really a patience issue. So you need to get the dog to really trust you. So one of the ways you can do it here, Tayana, is you can, simple, put the dog in a crate, give the dog something really cool, like a Kong toy or a bone, and have people come in, have the people not pay attention to the dog. They come in, they see you, they talk with you, maybe have a cup of coffee or tea, and then they leave. Keep it short. If you can do that 3, 4, 5 times with different guests, it'll be really beneficial for the dog. But don't let the dog fail. Like if you have the dog just out and the dog runs up and scares somebody, and somebody gets, crazy scared or falls down or screams or something, or gets jumped on, you get another problem. But if you kind of get the dog in a crate or a place command or something, and keep those first sessions really short, I think you're on the right path. Jamie, 7-month-old Chihuahua still wakes up at night to go to the bathroom. I've tried taking food and water away 4 hours before, but doesn't work. He still sleeps in the crate. Well, you might need to just hunker down and go longer. You need to do this, right? But try to build onto it. In other words, when does it get up? If it's once in the middle of the night, it's not the end of the world, right? You're just going to have to go through it. And the good thing is the dog's letting you know. Try to keep this dog from doing anything like peeing in your house, because it's going to be a problem. Kevin, thank you for the super chat. Very, very nice of you. Alfred, how do you start doing obedience during walks, like loose leash walking beside you instead of inside a mall or very distracted. Well, okay, so loose leash walking is not part of obedience, right? Obedience would be a focused heel walking. And I start to do that by, I want to walk with the dog, and then I'll stop, I'll take out some treats, and I'll start luring it. I lure, 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 lure. Once the dog understands the lure, then I ask him to do it, and then I reward. I do the same thing with a toy or treats, but it's something I do in very, very short durations, because it definitely will work. Hansel, I'm going to just post this up there because that's a very nice thing to say. Thank you very much for your kindness. Thank you for the super sticker. I don't know what a lot of this means, but it goes towards the revenue of the channel. So that's very funny. I don't know how I see these stickers, because Janet sent me a whole bunch last week, and I was never able to see them. But thank you for that. Very, very kind of you. Okay, if you've asked a question before, I'm going to try to pass over you because there's so many people in here. I want to kind of be fair to everybody. So if I recognize your name and you ask the second question, I might not get to it. What do you say to other dog owners that have the dogs off leash? You don't want to know. Ask Janet. Here's my thing, right? If your dog is off leash and it's really in good control, like it's with you, I say nothing. Nothing. But the other day I was walking my dogs, and there was these few dogs, whatever it was, and on a street. We were on a street, and the dog was barking and barking and barking at Maya, and I didn't say anything, didn't come over. And then the dog just launched across the street, and the person chased the dog down and grabbed it. It was a small dog, and grabbed it. And I looked and I said, why wouldn't you have your dog on a leash? Your dog is obviously not trained, right? But why? Now my dogs are trained and they're on a leash. I mean, I like to always start things off with a question, and I think it makes people really see things. I said, Janet sent me a super sticker. I can't see it though. I don't see anything. I think you guys all get to see it, but I don't get to see it. But thank you, honey. That's very nice. Let's see. Okay. Santiago, thunder shirts, good or bad? That depends, right? I've seen it work really well on some dogs, and I've seen it not work at all. It's like, it's like CBD or those aroma things, those pheromone things. It just really depends on dog. For sure, give it a try, and then if it doesn't work, return it. I mean, that's what I would say to do. But the thunder shirt, I've seen it does work. Okay, Zorro, I'm giving you a second one. I shouldn't, but I'm going to give it to you. What do I say to dog owners that have the dog off leash at a regular park and the dog isn't listening? I give them a good piece of my mind, right? If they're doing their own thing, and as long as you don't interfere with me, right? Here's my outlook on life. Just don't mess with me. That's all. That's it. Don't mess with me. Do what you do, but if it affects me, I'm going to come unglued, and I have a short temper for that kind of stuff. Stephanie, by the way, the shirts, if you like the shirts, head over to robertcabral.com/shop, and they're all there. You can dress like me if you really want to do that. I don't know if your wife will approve or your husband, but you can. How can I help Stephanie? How can I help my 6-month-old puppy get over fear while walking? Doesn't want to leave our property. Well, you got it. This is one of those things that you got to do. It's like the kid who doesn't want to go to the first day of school, right? You just got to make them do it, because a lot of good things happen on a walk. New smells, new sights, new sounds, new friends, and everything like that. So just push your dog through it, right? Just let's go, and maybe take some food with you, lure the dog along, have like a party during the walk, give him some food. Don't feed the dog. Feed the dog afterwards. Make something exciting happen. Okay, I'm skipping past people who have asked questions, so you know if I've recognized it, because I'm going to try to get through a lot of these. I only have 97 thumbs up and 235 people in the room. Interesting. By the way, I hope that those of you who are not getting your questions answered, and those of you who are getting it answered as well, that you'll consider joining robertcabral.com, my site, and if you click on the link down below, it'll take you right there. And remember, I'll be done here in about 10 minutes, but then I'll be there for another hour. Hopefully Janet will be home by then, because she's a big help to me. Let's see here. Excessive barking at door for Kim and fence. Sorry, Kim has excessive barking at door and fence. Try and use place command, but doesn't listen. Keeps barking, keeps one line keep online, sorry, and don't open door until he's quiet or in place. Well, that's the right way to do it. But if the dog is not going to the place, then you need to use your line and bring the dog over to the place and have him wait there for, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and then release him. But you need to get compliance. Like if my dogs are barking at the door and I say, hey, down or back or, go to your place, they will. And that's really an important piece. And that's Kim. Samet, I'm only going to click on this because I haven't seen your question before, but tips on working with a reactive dog. I have several videos here on YouTube as well as my membership section that go into that. It's a very long topic for me to approach when I'm really here to just try and, just boom, boom, boom. I'm just trying to give real quick answers because with 300 people, it's almost impossible for me to answer one question that would be this long. It'd be very, very unfair to everybody else. But please check out my videos. There is lots of help there on that. And again, I'm only answering questions that have that question mark. See the question mark right there? Right there. That's what I'm looking for. Tips on working with a reactive dog. That's funny. Here I'm doing this. I just already answered that question. How long max should I keep my 3-month-old husky puppy inside the crate? Well, a few hours, maybe 3-4 hours, and let the dog out. The dog needs to be socialized. The dog needs to be interacted with. The dog needs to be trained and played with and walked and exercised and everything. But you can leave the dog in there for 2-3 hours, maybe 4 hours in between. When you're not attending to the dog, then the dog should be, confined like you would do with a baby. And people don't do babies in bassinets, but I think they should. Georgia. I hope you're well. Me and my Rottweiler are starting protection training soon. What do you prefer, a collar or harness for this? Well, okay, so great question. For protection training, when you're doing agitation work or you're building the drive work, you're going to use a harness because you want the dog to continue through it. If you're putting pressure on the dog to bite, now some people will use low-level stim or prong collars for that. Unless you're a really skilled trainer, I probably wouldn't do that. But you'll need both. You'll need a collar for obedience, and you'll need a harness for building drive and getting the drives up. Oh, and let's see here. Okay. I use Roberts for nose work. My dachshund now has 88% success finding lost pets. I don't know if you're lying or not, but that's a great compliment. Zelania says, would you say that dog training is black and white and that gray zones will only confuse our dog? Yeah, I say that all the time. I say dogs think in black and white. The dog is happy, the dog is not happy. The dog gets it or he doesn't get it. We, as human beings, function in gray zones. Like we're trying to get it. We're trying to understand it. We're working about this. We're trying to eat better, but we have too much chocolate in the house. These are the kind of things that we as humans do. Dogs are absolute. So if you want to think like a dog, if the dog does it correctly, boom. If the dog fails, boom. Correct, reward. Correct, reward. Don't go in that middle gray line. Make the dog be absolute and then perfect it from there. Let's see. Okay, Tudor. This looks like a new question. What do you think of Chinese culture of eating dogs? Well, I don't judge other people's cultures, because I've been around so many cultures, and I think that people have their own cultures, their own decisions to make. I don't personally agree with it. I'm very picky on when I eat meat. I try to eat meat from, free range, pasture raised meats. I try to go to, very specific places like that. I eat meat. So who am I to condemn that a cow is more important than a dog? In my opinion, I think a dog is higher evolved. It's kind of like, what about I think, isn't it some Asian cultures eat monkeys? I think it's wrong too. But I'm not here to solve the world's problems. I don't do it. I wouldn't be around somebody who did it. But I don't eat veal either. Those are just my personal things. But again, on the flip side, I will tell you this much. I respect hunters who go out and hunt and kill their own food and eat it. So to each his own, really, to each his own. But I don't make it. It's kind of sad for me. Bellatrix. After watching your interview with Pierre Wallström is the right way to say that, awesome, by the way. It was awesome. Please, if you have not seen the podcast that I put up yesterday from Pierre, go watch it now. It's a spectacular podcast. And thank you, Avi, for setting it up. Pierre and I have become fast friends, and he's an amazing guy. Should we ease on puppy training, except for lots of play, social engagement until they're over here? So this is what Janet and I were talking about yesterday. It really depends on the methodology you're going to use. Now, if you have a really solid, great, well-bred, well-reared, good lines of dog, you can do that, right? You can give the dog a lot of freedom in the beginning, a lot of play, a little training, and then pick up the training at 1 year. Now, if you don't have a good dog, that's a lot harder. So my opinion is that what I would do is I would always start luring and shaping and rewarding behaviors and building a lot of muscle memory while the dog is really young. That's my thing. Yeah, we need some videos of Janet doing her competition because she's spectacular. She's so beautiful to watch. It's poetic to watch her working Dwayne. If you would love it as much as I love it, she'd have 1 million followers. Yeah, okay. If you're asking questions for Janet, we're going to have to do a Janet podcast, and I would love to do that someday. Okay, what do you think of training? Okay, we already answered that one. Okay, let me see here. Here, Nikki. My 12-week-old Belgian Malinois does not like to go in the crate unless she's super tired. I don't think I used enough treats or spent enough time with the crate door open. Well, then start again. It's only 12 weeks old. How much time did you not spend? Right? Pick it up right from now. Go, go, go. Do it. All right. Here, Scott. If I neuter my 2.5-year-old male Malinois who is working towards IGP-1 certification, may he lose his drive to work, like intensity and healing, etc.? Probably not. Right? I mean, I don't know why you're neutering the dog, but if you have a reason for it, then it's not really going to change. On a Malinois, it's not going to. If it was a Rottweiler, I'd say, think about it twice. But a Malinois, you're probably not going to have that. Okay. Thank you for your super chat there, Tudor. I hope yeah, okay. And you're entitled to your opinion. See, that's the beautiful thing in my world. My world, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, as long as you don't eat my dog, and as long as you don't, mess with me. So I agree with you. Okay, Ralvin, I don't know. Maltese, 10-year-old male, perfect in all ways except does avoidance behavior when not wanting to obey. Turns head away, pretends I'm not there, how to counter. At 10 years old, you got the dog you got. Right? I mean, in a Maltese, you're not really going to do much in the line of correcting a little dog like that. So you need to kind of just be real positive. You need to kind of lure the dog back in. You need to bribe the dog. I would use a lot of food because you're not going to do a lot of corrections on a dog like this. It's not going to be fair. And I'm not saying because it's a Maltese. I'm saying because it's a 10-year-old dog. Okay, see those question marks? Gets my attention. How can I call a dog down when they are on a tie-out when I leave? If he sees the car leave, he goes crazy. Well, I'd be really careful leaving him on a tie-out, right? I don't like leaving dogs on tie-outs. To me, it's a recipe for disaster. Dogs can strangle themselves, can get really caught up in them. So I would try finding a better way to leave the dog, maybe in a kennel or something like that. But the tie-out, I think, you want my opinion, the truth? I wouldn't use a tie-out. Toby, we're up to 235 people in here. I appreciate that. By the way, if you have not subscribed to the channel, if there's one thing you can do for me is you can subscribe to this channel. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. The more subscribers that we have on this channel, the better it is for me. The better the revenue is, the better placement I get in the search engines and all this stuff, because I'm sure I get shadow banned for some of the stuff I say, right? Because I give you guys the truth. I'm not the guy who's sugarcoating everything. This is the truth here. You're going to get the truth. And that's why when I talk to people like Pierre and Avi and Frank Phillips and Vadim and all these great guys, we have a camaraderie because it's no BS here. This is just the truth, what you want to hear. I'm not sugarcoating things saying, oh, I really can't say that to people. I'm telling you the truth. So thank you. Thank you for giving me this format. All of you guys. I don't give enough gratitude, by the way. And by the way, I hate motivational people who, just going to tell you, oh, you got to do this. I'm not here. I'm not your motivational coach. I'm here to help you with dog training, not even to be your friend. Sorry. A lot of friends on here, but it's not my goal. My goal is to help you with your dog, whether you like me or not. Toby says, I have a working line Mally puppy on the way, and I fully understand. The important thing I can do is socialize. But how much time can I spend outside? What's the golden rule? She will go on forever. I don't know what you mean, but you need to socialize a dog. You need to get the dog around people. You need to get the dog around other dogs. And it does not mean he needs to be petted by every person. It does not mean he needs to be meeting every dog. It means he needs to be exposed to these things and be okay with them in the proximity. It doesn't have to play with the dogs, right? But you need to be able to take the dog to a dog show and have him sitting there, and other dogs need to be able to walk by without the dog lunging at other dogs. That's it. However long that takes. Scott, if I neuter my two, okay, I already answered that question. Let's see, Alan sent me a text message. Oh, shoot. Thanks, Alan. That's see, this is why Alan is the key here. Guys, I got to wrap it up. I'm just blabbing on and on and on, and I'm missing my members live. So I'm going to cut it right here. Bango. I cut it just like that. I cut it. And I'm going to the live. So if you want to get in, join the member section of robertcabral.com right now, and I'll see you on the inside. I got to go. Sorry. See you soon.